Hey everyone, this is BeatTheRobotkin07, and I am coming to you, not live, because I ruined my recording through some shenanigans involving a setting which accidentally had default settings. So I didn't have 2 tracks, and thus I lost my vocal recordings for this. So I am obliged to record this in the editor while watching myself play the game, and that's gonna be a whole lot of fun. So anyway, quick recap. Last time we went through the distance spring. It was terrible because of the snitch bugs. I got angry a lot. So yeah, alright, so looks like past me is going in for the kill. So the distance spring. So we had 6 parts left on that day, and yeah, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get everything done, because after the fairly poor performance I had last time, I still had 6 parts left. I only got 4 in 2 days, so that made me a little worried about my possibilities in terms of getting things done in 2 days. But I kind of catch myself fairly quickly there, so as you'll see. But I won't go into the details of spoiling this. So I'm looking around the map, and I'm basically spotting the parts. And the 2 that I zoomed into, the one in the bottom and the one in the middle left, those are 2 of the 3 parts that I plan to go towards in this day. So the first one actually is the one all the way to the right, the one that was in the water. So I decided to go for 90 Pikmin there. I don't know why I got the habit of whistling the Pikmin when they come out. It's supposedly when you whistle while Pikmin are coming out of the onion, it should be making them jump out of the onion faster, but I don't think it's all that useful. So it's just a habit I took. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I went over this already, but one frustrating thing about Pikmin is that if you're swarming a nectar pile, sometimes you only get like 1 or 2 dudes drinking a huge pile of nectar, and sometimes you'll get like 50 Pikmin on the same one. So it's really inconsistent, and it's really annoying when you're trying to get your entire army to be flowers. So that's fun. Anyway, I'm now heading towards the part. So there's the Wollywogs, my favorite friends. And here I do something that you really should not do, and it's swarming them with large amounts of Pikmin. Because here's the thing, sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll get them to croak several times and you'll be able to kill them before they jump again. But sometimes what happens is, while you're swarming, it'll jump up, the Pikmin attacking it will get knocked down to the ground, and then you'll almost certainly lose a few Pikmin because they won't get back up by the time that they get back to you, because they'll get up, they'll walk under the Wollywog as it's in the air, and then it's gonna fall right down on you. So you want to avoid that. Anyway, over here, the water dumples, which can be really annoying enemies. So, okay, yeah, here I messed up my swarm, and I lost 2 Pikmin as a result. 1 Pikmin, actually. So the strategy you want for these is to just bum rush them, and usually you'll get to kill them before they eat any of your Pikmin. Alright, so, the Puffy Blowhog. This guy is the one who holds the part that I need. So as you see here, I didn't throw a lot of Pikmin, so he decided to shake off the Pikmin. But if you throw enough of them at once, you'll actually ground it. And that's the strategy you want to have for these guys. So yeah, usually once you get it down at least once, you can get into a pretty decent cycle of throwing Pikmin onto it again. And then grounding it repeatedly. Alright, so Alright, so I've found my interstellar radio. Not only does it emit a constant SOS signal, it also broadcasts voices from space that will brighten up my moments of boredom. The dolphin, while comfortable, becomes quite a lonely place in the depths of the night. Yeah, I'm gonna do the Shatner voices anyway, even though it's post-commentary, because I'm gonna assume that people like that, even though they probably don't. But I mean, I'm recording all of this pretty much, well, not at once, but like I'm kind of like withholding the uploads and making sure I record all of the Pikmin videos at this point, so I can release them all like fairly close in succession. So, I mean, if you like the Shatner voice, let me know in the comments. And maybe I'll do some more if I play more Pikmin in the future. But otherwise, yeah, I'll try to steer clear of that. So yeah, I need feedback, boys. If you want me to stop doing the Shatner voice, you gotta let me know. But be kind about it. I mean, I'm open about criticism. Okay, so anyway, what I did just there, I opened up the egg that contained a hidden boss, the Smoky Prog, which is actually, well, optional, but it is a pain in the butt to beat. Simply put. So basically what this guy does, he walks right to your base, directly straight to your base, no matter what you do, and it'll just loiter around, and it'll pluck your Pikmin out of the ground, and then it's gonna walk around, leave a trail of goop as you can see behind it, which instant kills your Pikmin. So to defeat this guy, you want to throw Pikmin in his face, and well, hope to God that they don't end up in the goo. And the problem is, sometimes the Smoky Prog will shake off your Pikmin, and it will immediately start moving again, and then they'll die. And also, when it's moving around, it's really hard to land a hit on it, so yes, most of the time, yeah, you'll end up throwing dudes into his goo, and they'll die, which is very sad. So, an annoying thing about this guy is that when he kills Pikmin, sometimes he'll glitch the counter. Like, you'll probably see this later, but you'll end up having like 88 Pikmin out of 85, which is really stupid. But the glitch gets fixed if you call Pikmin, if you max out the number of Pikmin you have. Also, I'd never noticed until now, but it actually kind of walks in the airs if it encounters a slope. So that's kind of weird. I never knew it did that until I played this. This is the first time I actually encounter the Smoky Prog walking on air. It's crazy. I really did not know that happened. So yeah, it does that. Anyway, I take a while to beat this guy because I end up being a little scared to throw too many dudes on him. It's like, oh, and then I realized that sometimes he actually kind of just stays in place after, like, roaring at an onion. And by the way, if you want to know that roar he does, that's what it uses to pluck your Pikmin out of the ground and then kill them. So yeah. Yeah, I spent a lot of time on this guy, and it eats up a lot of my day, which is a bit of a pain. But ultimately, I would say the reward for beating this guy is pretty good, because when you kill a Smoky Prog, it drops 100 Pikmin worth pearl. So yeah, you heard that right. You bring that pearl to an onion and it generates 100 Pikmin. So that's really insane. And it really makes it worth your time to beat this guy. Unless you, well, lose more. But still. Also, it's a fun fight. As annoying as it can be sometimes. And I enjoy it. Then again, I might be a bit of a masochist. So, yeah. So yeah, it's already noon. Yeah, I did mention that at some point in the video, that, oh, well, it's already noon, I've wasted most of my day beating up this guy. So yeah, it definitely doesn't look like I'm in very good progress to get things done. Okay, so now this is where I really just start to break loose on this guy, just try to just throw as many guys as I can on him. Just trying to make sure, just trying to hope that I can actually get through this battle as soon as possible. So yeah, then it does another roar. And I feel like that's the best time for you to attack this guy, is after it does a roar, because sometimes it's just gonna sit there and do nothing. Alright, so he's now dead. That's fun. Okay, so I don't know if the smoke still kills you when it's dying. I didn't want to risk it, personally. So I ended up taking out maximum number of Pikmin because I wanted to make sure that I didn't have like a million seeds sprouting from the onion. Because I don't know if I've mentioned this in a previous video. I probably did, but yeah, if you go up to 100 Pikmin, new Pikmin go into the onion. So a good trick is to just max out your Pikmin count so that all of the Pikmin go directly in the onion. The only downside is they'll always be leaves. So you can't just leave them in the ground and have them blossom into flowers from there. Then again, I feel like that method is kind of unreliable in getting flower Pikmin. I much prefer just relying on nectar to create flower Pikmin. It just seems more reliable to me. Have I said the word reliable enough times? Anyway. Okay, so having now beaten up this guy, I have the field pretty much free to get some decent progress done because at the end of the last video, I took down the gate that went towards the zirconium rotor. So, yeah. I end up taking that down. Back to the base, pretty much. And there's another part which is pretty much out in the open, so after I end up taking care of the gate that's coming up, I think, I'm going to go get that part, pretty much. So yeah, even though I only have like 5 leaves, I'm like, I must max out my number of Pikmin and have everyone be flowers. What can I say? I have a bit of an OCD in that regard. It bugs me. Because then sometimes you get dudes who just kind of get stuck on walls. So that's a little annoying. Okay, actually, I do end up doing a bit of multitasking. I'm trying to, like, yeah, call a few Pikmin. Okay. And then, oh, there's a sheer wig. I'm not gonna bother going with that guy. So I end up going around over to the passenger seat. My pilot's seat. Once I get this installed, my cockpit will finally be back in order. Soon, my ship will be starting to look more and more like the Dolphin of old. Ah, the memories. So yeah, that's a fairly easy part to get. The only thing is that it's a little far. Aside from that, though, there's really not much that really gets in your way, I would say. Okay, well, maybe aside from these guys, actually. So, yeah. I'll let you know why these guys are a bit of a problem in just a moment. So, yeah, I got the zirconium rotor. Made of rust-proof zirconium. It is as shiny as new, despite being left out in this planet's harsh elements. Suspension of disbelief? Completely broken. Nothing can stay shiny as new after having crashed. I actually addressed this. All the parts that land on the planet aren't damaged in any way. It just feels really weird. Anyway, so I end up taking a look at these guys. And then I zoom out, and then I realize, oh wait, why are these guys going around here? So I have no idea why. But yeah, the Pikmin, instead of going around to the water, they take the long way through the gate and ended up in the way of the shearwigs, which, if I hadn't just passed by and attacked them, would have attacked my Pikmin. And actually, I think they did anyway, because as you can see, now my counter's at 99. So, yeah. I should probably have been a little more aware of that problematic. So, yeah. Yeah, it's annoying, honestly, because sometimes Pikmin just like to take the most awkward of routes. So anyway, now I'm building the bridge, which should be leading to another part. If I remember correctly, it is the bowsprit. And yeah. So the Pikmin here right now are just being a bit of a jerk, because they're not going towards the bridge. So I have to call them back and throw them back onto the bridge again. Alright, so the pilot's seat made it back. At this point, however, since the day is pretty much over, I realized that I might not be able to get much done. So, picturing this in the cockpit, images of me lifting off into the space begin to fill my taxed brain. It fills me with inspiration once again. So So yeah, I actually ended up catching up on what I was fearing would have been a wasted day, because I had sorry, my throat's a little scratchy from all the talking. Yeah, so basically the Smoky Prog set me back quite a fair amount, but having already broken the way to the Zirconium Rotor and having taken down the gate that led towards other things, I was able to kind of like make up for lost time and ended up getting 3 parts, which pretty much put me back on par to finishing Distant Spring in 4 days instead of 5, as I had feared. Okay, so now I'm basically just throwing some dudes onto the Shearwigs. And there's a bit of nectar. I try to get back some leaves that I lost from finding that ball bear just now. So yeah, I think, yeah, okay, now I'm calling back the dudes here. Alright, so that's everyone. I considered fighting the cannon beetle, which actually does hold the bowsprit, which is like the next part I was going for. But then the counter started and I was like, you know what, this is not bothered with this. And this is pretty much where I decided to end the day. For some reason, I always think that little alcove there, I always thought that actually led back to the main area of the spring, but there's a wall there that kind of like tripped me up. So yeah, I decided to end the day here. Having gotten 3 parts, I was pretty much on par to finish up Distant Spring. So yeah, from there I pretty much only had 3 more parts to get, which was the bowsprit, and then the other 2 parts in the furthermost reaches of the area, which were the 2nd Ionium Jet and the Kronos Reactor, something like that. So yeah, that's this day of Pikmin, and yeah, it went better than I expected. Although I do wish I was able to get a 3-day Distant Spring, because that's my personal best for that area, but oh well. I feel like I kinda messed up in the 2nd day of Distant Spring. Oh, so I'm sorry. If I could just find 4 more parts, it'll be fully rebuilt. I must not flag in my search. I'm not gonna read it. You can imagine that I'm reading it. Surely some of those parts aren't absolutely necessary and blah blah blah. You know. So yeah, yeah, I feel like if it hadn't been for the snitch bugs, I might have actually managed to kind of keep myself a little on par. And maybe I might have been able to do a 3-day Distant Spring, but that didn't go all that well, unfortunately. So yeah, I lost 18 Pikmin to the Smoky Prog. I feel like that's a very good number, all things considered. So anyway, we're gonna go straight into day 12, which is the last day of the Distant Spring. Spoiler alert. Sorry about that. So yeah. So, for the 2nd day of this video, I only have 3 more parts to get, and surprisingly, those don't end up being all that difficult to get. Now, I'm not saying that I might have been able to get everything in 1 day, like those 6 parts I had left. That was most likely not gonna happen. But that said, like, what's left is surprisingly not that hard to get in the grand scheme of things. There's 1 part that we'll get later on, which is actually a little tricky in terms of puzzles, but otherwise, there isn't too much going on here. So anyway, I decided to go with a team of 60 blues and 40 reds. I'm gonna end up using the reds in order to fight the armored cannon beetle, and the blues will handle the rest. So, we get our gang, and since there's nothing for us in this general quadrant of the Distant Spring, we head north, and I found out that this bull bear respawned, which kind of annoys me, but I'm not too worried about him, so yeah, gonna get some flowers there, I guess. then we will take down this bullbear with great prejudice. So once again, I basically got the flower like 5 Pikmin. Another demonstration of the problems here. And this guy just does not want to get whistled for some reason. Alright, so I do a little quick bum rush, and this guy gives me a little panic, worrying that he's gonna run into the guy. So it's a bit of a swarming issue. I attack the guy, and he gets up really quickly. Like, I don't know if you noticed it, but he gets up like almost instantly, and that kind of startled me when I was recording the episode. So yeah, that's fun. Anyway, so I decided to get more flowers, because why not? And oh, there's a decent amount I got flower this time. Alright, so yeah. Not much to go on here until I actually get around to doing things. Okay. Oh, yeah. I end up dealing with this guy because here's the thing about this guy. He can be very disruptive of your team when you're carrying Pikmin. Not Pikmin, objects. Because you can just blow everyone away from the piece you're gathering, and that could be a real pain. So yeah. And I deal with him. He drops 4 yellow pellets, and well, they don't matter too much, so just pretty much leave them there. So, I dismiss the group. I take my 40 reds, and I head over to the Beetle's location. And I deal with this guy because I don't want him eating my Pikmin. Yeah. I think I was looking there for a moment to see if any others were there, but anyway. So now the Armored Cannon Beetle. Unlike the fight in the Forest of Hope, you actually have to kill this guy in order to get the part. So yeah, he's not that hard to beat though. I end up missing my shot because the timing for when to throw Pikmin is kind of odd, but yeah, after that he's a pushover. Like, you throw your Pikmin super fast enough and you can pretty much just kill him in 1 round. And there you go. That is a KO. So I try to get everyone on the part, and then we leave them to do their things, and I end up going back to this one guy is just not wanting to cooperate. Then we end up going over back to where the blue Pikmin are in order to get the last 2 parts. Alright, so there's a few more water dumples. They seem a little threatening because they're in fairly large numbers, but there's not too much to be worried about there. Don't do that. What I did just there, you should probably not do that. And yeah, I ended up losing 2 Pikmin on this guy because I was just barely not fast enough. So I comment on how this area seems weirdly empty. I don't know if it's actually populated more in the later days, but for now it seems weirdly empty. That kind of bugs me. Okay. So Olimar goes up here to get this part, and then you have to throw Pikmin across a gap. Which actually ends up being a little weird because there's these guys that end up falling. This is kind of really odd. Alright, so everyone's got the part. Call back the Pikmin. I try to get these 2 onto the thing. So, I don't know if I end up skipping this text. I do, okay. You can read it in your own Shatner voice if you so desire. So, I found my number 2 Ionium Jet. It's easy on the ice, and its fuel efficiency is easy on the budget. So yeah, after a few more problems trying to get this guy to cooperate. Yep. Yeah, it's annoying sometimes, like, Pikmin, when you throw them onto a thing, they'll latch onto a wrong thing sometimes. It can be a pain. In any case, with my 38 Pikmin, we now head over to the other side of this little area. And there's a little puzzle here. So basically, you have this platform with a yellow flower, which is the Candy Pop Bud, where you can throw Pikmin into it, and these Pikmin will turn into a Pikmin of the flower's color. That's pretty interesting of a concept. But anyway, you need to do this because the Chronos reactor, is located on a ledge that blue Pikmin cannot reach. So you have to throw a bunch of Pikmin onto the ledge, at least 20, and then pluck them out of the flower, and so on. So yeah. I end up taking 20 Pikmin, and then I throw them into the flower. The flower only takes 10 at a time though, which is a bit tedious. So I skipped more descriptions because that's fun. Because I'm a little busy like focusing on this, I'm like, I don't have time to read your texts, man. Alright, so yeah. We have 20 yellows now. And I'm gonna go pluck them all. And yeah. So mashing the A button. Alright. So now that that's done, now I need to throw the Pikmin onto the beach. And they make it. So I don't have to be too worried. Although it does seem very close. So I don't blame anyone being afraid. So yeah, next up, you throw 20 Pikmin onto the ledge. And they'll bring down the part. And then another part comes into the puzzle. You need to turn these yellow Pikmin back into blues. Or alternatively, go fetch some blue Pikmin and then throw the yellow Pikmin back onto base. Oh, using strange new technology, this machine is able to warp the space-time continuum and turn it into energy. I am constantly amazed at how many mysteries are locked inside the parts of my ship. The timing there. Okay, so yeah. You need to convert these back or throw them back onto the mainland. I end up going with conversion, even though it ends up being a big pain. And I end up not even converting all the yellows because I end up throwing one of the blues into the flower. Which has the effect of turning that blue Pikmin into a yellow Pikmin. So yeah, I keep missing the flower because I put my cursor on the flower and it just never seems to want to throw into it. So yeah, I end up being left with one yellow, and here's the thing. If you throw one Pikmin into a flower, it'll take ages for the flower to decide, I'm gonna convert this Pikmin. So yeah, that's the thing. So now with all the Pikmin in the midst, I end up trying to only throw the blues. Alright, so now this technique that I do, that's how you would get the yellow Pikmin back onto base if you decide not to turn them back into blues. Like I did. So yeah. There you go, and that was the final part of the Distant Spring. And I have no idea why I went back up there. I think I just accidentally ran into the spring. So, get some more blues onto the job of carrying this part back to base. And I get the yellow back. And that's it. This, my friends, is the end of the Distant Spring. Honestly, if you know what you're doing, this area is not all that hard. Like, it can be daunting at first because of the locked gates and the very tough enemies, but after like a day or two in it, you'll mostly have a clear idea of what you're doing. Well, a couple of days. I say 2 days because that's kind of like my experience with it, but like for someone who's new to the game, just kind of take it slow, I guess. And yeah, I feel like you'll generally get a pretty good result. Although, actually, taking it slow might not work out so well because the enemies do respawn, so I would say don't take it too slow, but yeah, it definitely needs to be taken one piece at a time, because, yeah, there's a lot of elements that just kind of like build onto one another. I guess, like with the bomb gates, some bridges, some gates that speed up your collection, and there's some tricks where you can get a shortcut in this area if you get blue Pikmin to carry something. Instead of just walking around the puddles, they'll go straight through them, which can be more efficient. Just like a series of little things like this. Anyway, basically I decided to end the day by collecting a bunch of enemy carcasses to boost up my numbers. Because tomorrow is the final battle and the final area. And that one's gonna require some skill and possibly a lot of Pikmin, so yeah. That will be what is next. So yeah, I don't think there is much else I really have to add here, because from this point onward, yeah, we're pretty much just biding our time. Yeah, I'm pretty much just going around checking the onions at this juncture, waiting for the armored beetle to get back. And then I believe we pretty much just end the day there, so yeah. Okay, yeah, so that's the thing I mentioned in the actual video itself. I tried to get the reds to bring the armored beetle to their onion because I wanted to max out the reds, because what I was doing, I was looking at the tallies for the Pikmin counts, and I wanted to make sure that I had the most reds so that I could you know, not have to worry too much about the coming boss battle. Because I won't say anything about him right now, but he can pretty much decimate your Pikmin if you're not careful. And while I would like to believe that I'm careful, he's just that much of a jerk sometimes. Okay, so I have no idea what I'm doing. Oh, don't continue from last save, idiot. Alright, and that was the last day of the Distant Spring. As I said earlier, I kind of wish I had managed to do this in 3 days, because it feels like it would have been fairly easy to do if I had been a little better about it. But, well. So, that's it for this video, because this was the second day. So we'll read the text, and we will take care of other things. And, yeah. From this juncture, that's pretty much the end of things. So, at last, but a single part remains. Since I've recovered 29 of the missing parts, the dolphin's power is near capacity. In the 4 steps below, I see a region where the final part must lie. Clearly, this is my final trial. My life support fails in 18 days. Courage! This is the final countdown. Yeah, I did that gag in the original video. And yeah, it's just as bad as it was then. So, that is pretty much the end, and I don't know what's taking me so long to push the button, but yeah. From this juncture onward, this is pretty much it. So yeah, next time on Pikmin, I will be going to the final area, and barring any catastrophic events, that should be my last video in the series too. So yeah, this has been Beathrow Butkin 07, post-commentating on the 6th part of Pikmin. I will see you in the next part, which will hopefully be properly recorded without any shenanigans. So yeah, until then, have a nice one.